No, this is not business as usual. This is a different kind of business. From the global stock market, to our central bank, to insights on insurance and investment, Spotlight is a show for you. Here, we look beyond the numbers. On Spotlight, we'll tell you the complexity behind the figures. On Spotlight, we examine hardcore financial issues. Join me, Philip Nanfuri, on MX24, together with policymakers and experts as we talk business.
It's 18:30 GMT, and this is MX24 News coming to you live from the Silicon Square here at East Legon in Accra. My name is Godwin Nambo. And our top stories now: fake news. How dangerous can they be, particularly in an election year? And how do we fact check them? The experts are here to help us walk that dodgy line as we head towards the December 7 polls. A minority in Parliament is demanding full accountability on COVID-19 expenditure from government. They accuse government of handing frontline health workers insurance deal to Enterprise Insurance, in which Finance Minister has personal interest. We will be speaking with the minority and government on the matter. But first, my colleague Marie-France Forjoy is standing by with some details. Marie, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good. Today you heard a story about the accident at.
I did. Quite unfortunate.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Quite terrible.
Yeah. Quite.
Is that in the news today?
It is on the news, and I have more details for you and
Awesome.
some updates on that.
Awesome. Tell us.
Okay, so let's get to our first story. And President Akufo-Addo has expressed his condolences to families of persons who lost their lives after a 4-story church building collapsed at Achimbatebi in the Eastern region. The president, in a tweet earlier today, also wished all injured persons speedy recovery. So far, 25 persons have been retrieved from the rubble, out of which 18 are confirmed dead. The 18 comprise of 10 females and 8 males. Speaking to journalists in the region earlier today, head of inspectorate at the National Disaster Management Organization, Richard Amwati, said the lack of information is posing some challenges to their investigations.
The biggest challenge here has been the lack of information. Because we don't have information as regards the numbers of people who were in the building at the time of the collapse, it's made our work very, very, very difficult. So I'll take this opportunity to appeal to people who have relatives who are supposed to have attended service in the last 3 days and have not reported back to come to this area. We have set up a desk, information desk, to receive such information to aid us in our search and rescue operations.
Meanwhile, District Chief Executive for the area, Alex Inkum, says a full-scale investigation will be launched into the collapse after the rescue mission.
Some of the things are beyond me as a district chief executive. Fortunately, my regional minister has been very, very supportive. After the exercise, a full-scale investigation will be conducted. The recommendation will be a lesson to all of us, and those who are found culpable for negligence, that the law will take it.
Let's go to Nigeria now. Now, as the end SARS protest rage on, some hoodlums have taken advantage of the situation and are committing outrageous crimes. The thugs, numbering about 100, broke into the Benin Correctional Center and Oko Medium Security Correctional Center in Nigeria and freed about 1,993 inmates. They also vandalized sections of the High Court 4 premises located few meters from the prison. Shops, banks and ATMs at Surulere in Lagos have also been destroyed by the same persons. Meanwhile, Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has given the escapees up to Friday to return voluntarily or face the wrath of the law.
To all inmates in our correctional services who have escaped to come back on their own before the close of business on Friday this week. However, those who don't report back after Friday night, we have all their records, we have their biometrics, and we will go after them and ensure that we bring them, and at this point in time, when they come back into the facilities, the appropriate actions will be meted against them.
Still on Nigeria, the Vice President, Yemi Osibanjo, has in a series of tweets condemned the attacks of violence allegedly perpetrated by security forces and has promised justice for the demonstrators who were killed at the Lekki Toll Plaza. He said, "I spoke to some of those in hospital. The pain of these terrible events is palpable in our towns and cities, and some losses are irreplaceable. But we can and we will get justice for all of them. I stand with Lagos and all other affected states in these trying times." Moving on, one person is reported dead and 4 in critical condition following a fatal road accident that occurred near the Odogono Senior High School at Awoshi in Accra during the early hours of today. 4 vehicles, including a Toyota Land Cruiser, a Kia Rhino, and a motorbike, were involved in the accident. Deputy Police PRO of Accra, Inspector Kwabna Danso, confirmed to MX24 News that the motorbike rider lost his life in the accident, while the injured are receiving medical attention. He says the actual cause of the accident is yet to be ascertained, but an eyewitness earlier contributed the crash to brake failure in the Kia Reno with registration number GX 90315. The motorbike rider was said to have suffered a broken leg and was crushed to a nearby hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. This accident adds up to the growing spate of road carnage in the country barely 3 months to the end of the year. As at the end of August 2020, Ghana had recorded 9,205 road crashes involving 15,459 vehicles, resulting in the deaths of 1,585 people.
The latest from the accident scene is that one person is dead. I can confirm to you that one person is dead, and 4 other persons have also been released, but they are currently at a hospital responding to treatment. Currently, I cannot, it's still under investigation. It's early days yet. I cannot tell you the exact cause of accident. When investigations are over, we'll be able to tell you what necessitated the accident, but currently I cannot tell you what has happened for the cause of the accident.
Now, the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union has declared a strike and directed all drivers not to move their trucks effective today. Members of the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Association earlier this year protested against the implementation of the new electronic cargo tracking system by the National Petroleum Authority, NPA. The union this time around is demanding the payment of salaries due its members, as well as an action against police harassment. Raymond Aflo is the Deputy Secretary of the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union, and he spoke to MX24 News.
It's not a new thing. It was on a drawing board from 2017, and we went to the president at Jubilee House, and he directed the MPA our petitions we are there to, especially the one the direct and miss salary and other remunerations attached to it. And we signed an MOU with MPA, with the Tanker Owners Union, since from 2017. Up to now, only about 10% are implementing it. The remaining 90% are not doing the right thing. Second, police harassment. Nowadays, the MPA has instructed the police that when you see a tanker, you just stop him. When they stop you, you give the document to them. They will tell you the document is fake. Fake. Whenever money estate has, then the document becomes authentic.
Those were the Association of Tanker Drivers declaring yet another strike. Over to you, Godwin.
Many thanks, Mary. Now, when we return from the break, we'll be looking at fake news. What are they and how do they impact real news? That and more in the world of business, sports and showbiz coming up. Stay with us.
Hi, my name is Alamatu. Yes, these are both me. You see, before free SHS, my life could have taken two very different paths. The SHS path depended on how much money my parents had, what sacrifices they were willing to make, and whether they would send me or my little brother Issa to SHS. The other part is what would have become of me if there was no free SHS. But today, thanks to free SHS, my future is bright and promising.
Congratulations, you have a name. He's a boy.
Instead of depending on others, I will stand on my own feet and help my family. Free SHS is where my dreams for a better future and the dreams of thousands of young girls become a reality. Don't let NDC take it away from us. Vote for NPP and give all Ghanaian girls a chance for a better future.
Shop online, get free swipes, and enjoy greater security with a card that turns banking on its head. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Hello, viewers. I'm feeling very frustrated and bored in Sambulai. I'm very happy. If you don't understand, don't worry, because myself, I don't understand. In this edition, Vodafone Ghana has now made it possible to send money from Vodafone Cash to all network free. We will cross over to our senior reporter for more details.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing in front downtown. You know, I'm learning to make a vlog. I'm not funny, I just said. Vodafone, I'm not quite said. What do you say? Emily do echo all the network. I will check up there. Me tisi montezo. Diamond fucking.
Fifia, Matendo says don't you put charges manomi. Joe, nye bro, charges on your wumlo. I don't have one you. I be a don't says don't have charges or clandan.
Hani yani me feni no me. Send America charges me no charges I make G. Naka charges say we know. Manya ke feni BP. Oh hani Vodafone. Oh enwo.
For me, I do a lot of online transactions. I guess here. See, the excitement for me is that I get to save a lot on Vodafone Cash.
Please put me down.
I'm so excited. I can now send money to all networks without any charges.
Me ye jediniba. A bribia says me chia majuma ye fokan. Sika me chia se charges no. And do so do. Nansu say dear. Me the Vodafone Cash.
Sending money on Vodafone Cash to all networks is now free. Send any amount of money as many times as you like to all networks for free. Dial *110# now to send money.
Any amount for Masumo. Studio 2. Put him in car. And yeah, we saw mommy.
This is the red news. Apologize.
The future is exciting. Ready?
Many thanks for staying with us. This is MX24 News coming to you live from the Silicon Square here in East Legon. Straight away to our stories for tonight. In the wake of widespread protests across Nigeria, there have been growing concerns about the authenticity of some pictures and videos making the rounds on social media and even on mainstream media. There were reports of the Nigerian army shooting at unarmed protesters in Lagos. However, the Nigerian army on its official Twitter page denied these allegations, describing the reports as fake news. So we're asking, what is fake news and how easily can one differentiate that from the real news? Now, some Ghanaians have been sharing how they deal with fake news and this phenomenon.
You could go to Wikipedia and then you will see someone editing the Wikipedia page and all of that. But I think frequency will tell you how much, or the consistency of truth will tell you how verifiable a particular thing is. So you could look at it from that aspect. That, let's say when the news keeps recurring and perhaps the likelihood that it may be true, and then credible news outlets should tell you how true or verifiable information is.
Okay. Have you been confronted with any issues of fake news, and how did you deal with it?
Fake news, WhatsApp platforms usually share a lot of news. Our parents, they always send you stuff on them WhatsApp platforms and things like that. So yeah, of course they come, but even when stuff come out that's being shared like that, serially on WhatsApp, half the time I don't think it's true, but I wait for more credible sources of mine, personal credible sources of mine.
I usually get my news from Twitter first thing before anything else. Yes.
Okay, and that's social media. I'm sure you are usually bombarded with all sorts of information. Are you able to
left to right
differentiate between actual news and fake news?
Yes.
How
So
do you
for
do
me, verifying actual news is going to verified sources. Mm-hmm. So if I don't see the verified tick on the account, I'm sort of doubting, whether this is actual news. So I'm always looking out for the verified tick on Twitter.
Okay. Have you ever personally been confronted with any fake news issues that almost maybe cost you or led you to take?
But this was on Facebook. Someone wrote something about being attacked and not knowing. It turned out not to be what it was. And we asked so many questions. I was part of those asking, and I was like, oh, is this person sure? And later turned out to be fake news, and I was really, really sorry that I actually took part in a conversation and got riled up for nothing.
Where do you usually consume information, or let's say news from?
Example of sports, I take it from gold.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's social media?
Social media. That's a website.
Website, okay.
Yeah.
So you don't do social media or TV or radio?
Anything I see on TV, Instagram, or Snapchat. I'm not really on Twitter, but anything I see on Instagram or Snapchat, I normally verify.
Okay. How do you verify that?
CNN.
Okay. Have you ever been confronted with any issue of fake news that almost led you to make a wrong decision based on that information?
Wrong decision? I wouldn't say wrong decision, more like an exaggerated decision.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. Do you care to share details of that? Or?
Kind of person.
Very personal.
Yeah.
That's right.
And those were some Ghanaians sharing their opinion on what fake news is and how they identify them and deal with them. Now, another instance of fake news is when on Wednesday, September 30, 2020, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia claimed that before the NPP came into office, Ghana had only 2 AstroTurfs. But at the time of his speech, numerous AstroTurf projects had been completed.
NPP came into government. Ghana, we had only 2 AstroTurfs in Ghana.
2 by the private sector as a government there?
By just 2 existent in Ghana.
I knew one in Tema.
They told me that there were only 2. In fact, the contractors who were building some of these AstroTurfs, I think a group called Wembley or something.
Yeah, Wembley. The company's name, Wembley.
Wembley, yes. They provided that information to me. Said there were only 2 AstroTurfs in Ghana. Zongo Development Fund is building about 10. And then you have others that about another 29 or so that are taking place. GMPCs built.
However, Fact Check Ghana called out the Vice President for misrepresenting facts, further presenting proof that there were 6 AstroTurfs in use prior to the Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo-led government assumed office in 2017. You will recall that at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, all sorts of information were in circulation, especially regarding how to deal with the virus, many of which were anything but credible. Some of such publications look like this.
They've been able to come up with a brilliant idea. And this brilliant idea is ID 2020. ID 2020. This is interesting. I'll show you about that. And the main thrust of ID 2020 is vaccine. What does this mean? To achieve the New World Order, they came up with an idea, ID 2020. There are several groups involved in this. I can mention several of them to you. I probably will. so that you can look them up by yourself. Check these groups up by yourself. They may not, in some cases.
Who determines what is credible and not credible? But in the lead up to the elections, all sorts of information are in circulation, many of which are misleading. We've even had the two major political parties accusing each other of running online portals that propagate a lot of fake news. My colleague Marie-France Forjo has some slides to show us. Marie?
Yes, I do. We do know both parties have been jabbing each other. The NDC actually went ahead to open a website, NPP Field Promises. So they've been at each other's necks.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, you haven't seen
No.
that? I think it's even offline now. But this is some list of web portals the NPP came up with and alleges that they are fake news portals. So we have Awake Newsroom, GhanaPoliticsOnline.com, GraphicGH.com, WhatsApp News, GhanaNewsAvenue.com, LeakageGhana.com, DW Ghana, BBCGhana.com,
BBCGhana.com.
Yeah, I haven't even heard
and
that.
DWGhana.com.
DWGhana.com is GraphicGH.com, not Graphic Online. And then AfricaWish.com. So we actually took snapshots of what their homepage, some of their homepages look like. So this is Awake News. It seems like a regular website.
Yes,
so
it does.
You should be guided if you go on there.
GhanaPoliticsOnline.com.
Ghana Politics Online. Yeah, this is GhanaPoliticsOnline.com. And then we have GraphicGH.com, not Graphic Online, mind you, this is GraphicGH.com, and then WhatsAppNews.com. So these are just a few snapshots of the various online portals the NPP is alleging are fake news portals, and they suspect the NDC is behind them.
It.
We can't confirm that for sure, but
and the
these
NDC is also accused. But it's pretty interesting that political parties will go behind each other to create, online portals to, as it were, propagate fake news. I've been wondering, and when we get...
Mind you, those are allegations, so let's not state like we actually
Absolutely. And I can't wait to ask Corby Asante, if we get him on the line, to discuss this. Who determines what fake news is? It really is on my mind. Who determines what fake news is? The NDC is, for instance, the NDC is saying that these portals are allegedly run by the NPP, and the NPP might say that no, these are credible, online portals that put out credible information.
I think at the end of the day, time does tell, because if they put out a story and other news portals are carrying differently, and at the end of the day, you realize what's on any of these portals, if indeed they are fake, the information doesn't tally, then that means it's fake news. So if it's consistent at the end of the day, you should check where you consume your news from. The ball is in your court.
Well, let's ask the expert. We have Kweku Corby Asante, who is the programs manager at Media Foundation for West Africa, joining us via Zoom to have this conversation. And there he is. Kweku, good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, good evening, Godwin, and thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Kweku, I've been meaning to ask this question. It's been on my mind for a while. Before I ask you who determines what fake news is, can you tell me exactly what qualifies as fake news?
Well, thanks. A point of correction. I am the programs officer of the Media Foundation for West Africa, not the manager. But on to the question you ask. For us in the business of fact-checking and verifying information, in fact, the term fake news is one that unsettles us because we think that fake news has been a term that has been coined to discredit the mainstream media or any information that information from the mainstream media that does not sit well with somebody or perhaps that does not support somebody's agenda. You would recall that in the lead up to the 2016 election, Donald Trump in the U.S. Came up with this term. Well, it had been used previously before, but he made it known very, very well on social media platforms, the term fake news. So for starters, I would want to work with terms like misinformation, disinformation, or if you like, malinformation. So now to answer the question, what is
what qualifies as fake news? Yes.
What is misinformation? Really, it's somebody sharing information that is not true or sharing false information without the intent of causing harm or misleading people. So I can get an information that perhaps I did not verify or I do not know that that information is not accurate. Then I pass it on or post it or republicize it. I am engaging in misinformation.
Right. And disinformation?
Then there is disinformation, where I intentionally share information that is not true, to present a certain argument or to intentionally mislead people. So Godwin, I can take your picture and then post it on my social media handle and say, this is Godwin, he has done so and so to me. Anywhere you see him, report him to the police. This information is not true, and it is disinformation in the sense that I am doing this on intent or purposely. And then there is more information where the information is in reality, really, it's a real information, but somebody is intentionally using that information to inflict pain or to inflict chaos. So I can present any information, a historical information, and sort of add the narrative that entrenches bigotry or sort of entrenches ethnicity. So if I'm true, or if you want to say fake news, it is essentially an information that somebody is presenting that is not true. That one, the person has shared it without knowing it to be true, or two, the person has shared it knowing that it is not true, but he's using it for a certain agenda. And three, one, that the person is using it to cause pain or to cause chaos.
Right. So you're taking me to school this evening. So I guess what you're saying is that misinformation is unverified info. Disinformation will be info to deliberately cause harm, and then malinformation. So can we categorize all this and call it fake news? And now I want to ask you, who determines what fake news is, or what misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation is? Who determines it? So if I see something, say for instance today, and I report it on Twitter, and people tell me it is false, does that mean that I've misinformed people, even though I know what I saw and I put it up?
Well, we always say that we can all have our own opinion, but we can't have our own facts. Okay? Facts are facts. You can say that I feel like sleeping, or you can say that I don't like the way this guy played the game, or any other thing that is based on your opinion. But we all know that when it comes to facts or something that we can support with figures, you can't afford to begin to share your own thoughts, all right, or your own side of the issue.
Okay.
So essentially, what is not true is that when we pick that information and place it against the facts, the verifiable, say that your information based on intent is either misinformation or disinformation. So essentially, that is my description. Facts are sacred, opinions are free. You can share your opinion at any point in time, but if your opinion in such a way that if we place it against facts and it is not consistent, then your information will fit for what you would call fake news.
Great. Well, Kweku, so having said that, let's cross over to the other side and look at it this way. What true information is. So a case study will be COVID-19. So let's say, for instance, we had, WHO telling us what COVID-19 is, what it does, how it affects people and all that. These are facts from the WHO based on their study. And you had independent doctors also studying whatever they claim to be COVID-19 and coming out with facts and saying that, no, what the WHO is saying is wrong. Maybe they didn't do their research well, maybe, So whose information here, where do you determine whose information is right?
Okay. So the COVID-19 pandemic case study you present is an interesting one, because the virus showed us that it is not the same everywhere.
Right.
In fact, in Ghana, you would recall that we came out with we were able to discover our own genomes in Ghana, which perhaps may be different from what they are experiencing in the US or what they are experiencing elsewhere. So the COVID-19 pandemic could therefore, it presented a lot of a complex or not a very straight line point of view. So today you get, for instance, the World Health Organization coming to say if you are asymptomatic, you can't infect others with the disease. Then a week later, they have to do a press conference again to change their stance.
Yes.
The point is that because the COVID-19 was quite new or a bit novel, this very form was a bit novel, it's understandable that world health experts or health experts and scientists were again and again tinkering with the disease and coming up with new information. So they will say today, and then they will say something today in the US, and then somebody in Australia will have a different information.
Well, let's bring it to,
I think that
not to cut you,
not perhaps help us in this argument.
Not to cut you. So let's put the COVID-19 case aside and talk about, say, what is happening in Nigeria with NSAS. Now, we've seen videos and pictures online. People are sharing it. People have come out. One school of thought says that, oh, these are old videos. Others are saying some of these videos and pictures have been doctored. We've had cases where people have said that, oh, some of the pictures that were shared were from film sets, So, and Nigerian authorities are saying that, people have not died. People have just sustained injuries and all that. In this case, let's say, for instance, on Twitter, how do you verify this information? How do you separate fake news from the authentic news? Do you say the authentic news will be from accounts that have been verified?
Okay, so let's work with the pictures that has come up following the Lekki shooting in Nigeria on the NSAS protest that is ongoing. I think that there are a few tools that we can share with people to help them do this analysis. So if I pick an information or if I pick a photo and post it on Twitter and add my own narrative to say, I am in this place at this time and the police have shot this person and this is the lifeless body of the victim on the ground. What we can do is that we call something reverse image search, where I can pick the information, the picture. You can just go to Google, just Google reverse image search. I think Google has its own reverse image search tool. Google reverse image search. You can upload a picture into it, and then what the tool does is that it goes back into records. Every item published on the, see if indeed it has popped up in somewhere in previous times before. And if it's able to spot something like that, you can really tell that this photo that somebody is posting as an event that is happening today or yesterday has been posted 2016, 2013, 2012. And that is what people are using to even verify some of the photos people are sharing on the NSAS campaign as evidence of the police shooting. And while I do not want to present myself against the protest, because I really support the protest, I think that it should be based on fact, it should be based on verifiable info. So again, I'm saying we can always do reverse. It already exists. Because today, if you post your picture on or publish on your website, likely it will go into the systems on the internet, so that if tomorrow I pull that same picture and want to use a different narrative on it today, you should be able to trace me and say that this picture was published in 2016.
Sorry to cut you, and we are moving very fast now. We're moving very fast now. And lastly, before you go, let's just bring it back home. Let me ask you, being an election year, how can we verify true information here in Ghana? Does the Media Foundation for West Africa has any means, for us to...
Let me take it slowly.
And briefly for us, please. Yes.
Number one, I think that source is very important. I always say the ultimate check for any information is the source. Who is saying this? Who has also published this? Where is this coming from? Whose signature is on it? And why has the person not also published it? So today we just heard of the accident that happened at Awoshi.
Yes.
Okay. If an incident that happened is that massive, most likely you will have MX24 talking about it in news in brief or posting it on their Facebook.
Right.
You hear other mainstream media outlets working
sharing
on
it.
information like that. If you can't find it anywhere and it is just one individual who has that information on your WhatsApp group page, your own your luminous or credible media outlets to see.
Kweku, I wish we had more time to delve into this particular topic. What we'll do is we'll have you back on the show. We'll definitely have you back on the news again, so we talk about this extensively. Thank you very much for joining us, Kweku. Kweku Kobia Asante is a programs coordinator at the Media Foundation for West Africa, talking about fake news and how to verify it. Now, moving on, the minority in Parliament demands accountability of every peso spent during COVID-19 era amid claims that the president engaged in corruption and profiteered during the viral outbreak. Our government, as part of mitigating the effects of the then pandemic, introduced the health line insurance policy to encourage more health care workers fight the pandemic. But addressing the media in Accra today, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu accused the NPP government of awarding 2 contracts during the pandemic to its cronies without recourse to an open and transparent selection.
International Airport. Friends of the media, you recall that the minority raised concern regarding the award of contract to Frontiers Healthcare Services Limited. The company was registered on 21st July 2020, just few days to the commencement of its operations. The company, as we have investigated, is owned by Healthcare Solution Services Limited, which is owned by the Peters Family Company Limited, also incorporated in June 2020. The Peters Family Company Limited is registered as an offshore in Dominica. Therefore, we don't want to believe that this may be another case of family and friends. How was this contract for charging of $150 per passenger awarded? What procurement process was used? The company, Healthcare Solution Services Limited, the rule is that if you don't have a laboratory, you don't qualify for purpose of undertaking this service. How come they were chosen for the purpose of this? We are asking for further and better particulars of the entity. We are not only concerned about the poorly crafted schemes that they are using to cash in on poor Ghanaian travelers who are desirous of returning home, but the inability of Frontiers Healthcare Services Limited to deliver the very services for which the poor Ghanaian passenger pays $150 for.
And now we have Pius Enam Hajide, who is the Deputy Minister of Information, on the line, joining us to discuss this. But before we go to him, speaking on the current affairs edition of Spotlight, the Tamale South MP revealed how the Kufuor-led government had handed over the insurance package of frontline health workers to Enterprise Insurance.
Of April, the president announced $350,000 for health service frontline workers and others for insurance. You should be interested in who the contract went to. I hear it went to Enterprise Insurance, and they did a memo around 20th April for 10.3 million Ghana cedis. I mean, this conflict of interest situation in Ghana must be checked because it is a veritable source of corruption and abuse of office. I've just seen a memo of APL, which arranged the facility, demanding 2 million. But see the speed. The insurance cover was announced on the 5th of April. Yet the Minister for Health, by a letter dated 28th March, had already committed 10.3 million to insurance. But be interested in 28th, we see a letter of the Minister for Health, Honorable Ajimamenu, asking for a release of 10.3 million. 28th March. The President announces on 5th April an insurance cover of 350, which was accumulating to 10.3 million. Then we now see payment being demanded by Enterprise Insurance. That's a clear case of conflict of interest. Again, profiting out of COVID.
And that was Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu speaking to my colleague Noong Falong on the current affairs version of Spotlight. Still on the line with us is Pius Enam Hajide, who is a Deputy Minister of Information, to talk to us on this topic. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
And thank you for joining us. Now, the minority is alleging corruption, fraud, and yes, they are alleging corruption. How do you respond to this? They're accusing your party or your government of awarding sole sourcing the frontline health workers package to Enterprise Insurance, of which they say the finance minister has an interest in.
Yeah, good evening to you and the cherished viewers of MX24. I think that what is clear is that out of the NDC's desperation, because the people of Ghana are not receptive to their campaign messages, the messages have proven not to be credible, and they feel that they are being rejected by the people of Ghana. They have rather resorted to this propaganda gimmick. And so I do not too sure if we want to spend precious airtime discussing this big cause. But if the NDC minority in Parliament is genuinely minded to raise any legitimate concern about public spending, they know that the proper platform to do that is on the floor of the House. They could ask those questions, and officers of the state, including ministers and other officers, would be compelled by the law to provide those answers on the floor. But because they know too well that the idea is to engage in propaganda, and the idea is to devalue the collective success of Ghana's fight against COVID-19, which has been acclaimed internationally. Just the other day, the Sky Media Group, in a research it conducted, judged Ghana the third best responsive government as far as fighting COVID-19 and mitigating its impact on the people is concerned. The NDC wants to devalue that and water down on our collective success. They have resorted to this propaganda of attempting to raise some matters to which I believe they already have answers, if they indeed are serious and competent. Otherwise, then it will be an indictment. And they have rehashed a few of the things that have been addressed already. And they spoke, for instance, of the fact that there is a company that is supposed to be doing testing at the
International Airport.
But that company, the test is being conducted by Noguchi. But that has been answered, and they have been told that that is fabrication. It's not correct. In fact, Noguchi does the molecular test, what you call the PCR test. What is happening at the Tuka International Airport are the antigen tests. And so it is not Noguchi that is conducting these searches, these tests. And this company was properly acquired, if you may, by the Ghana Airport Company to conduct these tests so as to limit importation of the virus into the jurisdiction. But they have rehashed that, and they have brought that up again. Now they have gone to another area, changing goalposts. They say that insurance to health workers is being...
Why was there sole sourcing? But sorry to cut you, was there sole sourcing? If you could confirm that, was there sole sourcing when the insurance package was given to, insurance deal was given to Enterprise Insurance?
Well, I'm saying that, you see, let us not indulge the NDC. If the NDC wants to get responses to these questions, they know what platform to use. To go to the media and seek to raise these questions is to engage in propaganda. If they raise the questions on the floor of the House, the proper responses will be provided to them. And that is the job of members of parliament in the first place.
Right.
They are paid as a taxpayer to hold government accountable by raising these questions not on the corridors of parliament, but on the floor of the House.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you, Pius. We'll engage you more on this particular topic later. Thank you for joining us. That was Pius, and I'm Hajide, Deputy Minister of Information, speaking with us. Now, coming up in business, Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, said Chuma Kwabwa, has called for the full implementation of the Ghana National Export Strategy ahead of the commencement of the African Continental Free Trade Area in January 2021. That and more coming up in some few minutes. Stay with us. You're still watching MX24 News. It's time to do business. My name is Kwabena Ameya. Now to our first story, Chief Executive Officer with the Association of Ghana Industries, Chuma Kwabwa, has called for the full implementation of the Ghana National Export Strategy ahead of the commencement of the African Continental Free Trade Area in January 2021. Now speaking at the National Conference on NAFTA here in Accra, Chuma Kwabwa reiterated the crucial role of local industries in boosting Ghana's potential on the trade agreement.
The National Export Strategy to become one of the beautiful documents we normally craft in Ghana and leave it to the shelves and let it gather dust. We want effective implementation of it. But how do we implement it if there's no adequate funding? So the critical part of all that we're doing is that there must be adequate funding for the net for it to be effectively implemented. And I want to believe that this is not just the advocacy that should be done by the associations, but the Ministry of Trade would ensure that at the cabinet level, at government level, adequate resources will be made available for the implementation of the net.
Now, let's do some more stories. In a related development, Trade Minister Alan Chamantin says each country on the African Continental Free Trade Area will be allowed to designate 3% of their tradable goods as exclusive goods. Now, this move, according to him, will prevent unfair trade advantage and also protect local industries. He was speaking at the National Conference on NAFTA here in Accra.
In deciding on the categories of products that will be traded under the AFCFTA, the basic and fundamental principle is that each state party or country that will be trading under the AFCFTA is given an opportunity to identify certain categories of goods that will be described as sensitive goods, and certain categories of goods that will be described as exclusive goods.
Now let's do some more stories. Compensation of employees comprising of wages and salaries of SNET contribution for the second quarter of 2020 amounted to 7.7 billion Ghana cedis. This was revealed by the 2020 second quarter bulletin released by the Bank of Ghana. And according to the BOG data, the amount spent in quarter 2 of 2020 represents an over 38% increase year-on-year in the cost incurred in the second quarter of 2019. In Ghana, the second quarter in 2019 spent 5.5 billion on compensation of employees. And however, the figure jumped to 7.71 in the same period in 2020. In addition, the data also revealed that this increment was 16.2% higher than the program target of 6.63 million Ghana cedis. Well, that's it for business. Up next is sports with Benedict Owusu.
No, this is not business as usual. This is a different kind of business. From the global stock market to our central bank to insights on insurance and investment, Spotlight is the show for you. Here, we look beyond the numbers. On Spotlight, we'll tell you the complexity behind the figures. On Spotlight, we examine hardcore financial issues. Join me, Philip Nanfuri, on MX24, together with policymakers and experts as we talk business. No, this is not business as usual. This is a different kind of business. From the global stock market to our central bank to insights on insurance and investment. Spotlight is the show for you. Here, we look beyond the numbers. On Spotlight, we'll tell you the complexity behind the figures. On Spotlight, we examine hardcore financial issues. Join me, Philip Nanfuri, on MX24, together with policymakers and experts as we talk business.
Well, time to do sports here on MX24 News. I'm Benedict Osu. In our very first story, Mohamed Kudus has been ruled out of action for several months. Now, Kudus picked up an injury in his debut Champions League game against Liverpool at the Johan Cruyff Arena last night. Well, the club has announced he has suffered a meniscus injury that will keep him on the sidelines for several months. Well, it is expected that he will no longer be available to play before the winter break. Well, away from Mohamed Kudus, Black Allies coach Karim Zito is unhappy with CAF's new qualifying format. Well, the new format will see the Black Allies come up against the likes of Ivory Coast and Mali in a championship, which, of course, if you're able to win, you qualify to play at the African Junior Championship. You know, the man who is preparing his team for the competition says this format is not good.
Seriously, the other one is better than what we are going to do now. Look at the complaint that came during the previous under-17 was some zones within the African countries were complaining anytime it's West Africa. Well, everybody is being gifted with whatever he wants. Like when you go to Central Ethiopia and Co, they are very good in this athletic. We didn't complain. But why are they complaining to the detriment of West Africa? So now you see that when we went to the World Cup, we couldn't perform.
Now to Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and their communications manager Moses Nchubinefo, affectionately known as PJ Mose, is hopeful of a good start to the Premier League campaign. Well, they've pitched camp in Koforidua as they fine-tune preparations for the start of the Ghana League as well as the CAF Champions League. Well, PJ believes they will come good this season.
To provide the necessary logistics that the team will need to perform. And we are doing just that. So the onus lies on the technical and the playing bodies also go and deliver the goods for the supporters to be happy. I think per the training rudiments that the technical team, they are taking the players through, and when we start and we get the support of our supporters, then trust me, we are going to do, we are going to do things that are marvelous, miraculous, that are exciting, magnifying, electrifying for the supporters to know and feel that this is our Kotoko, that we've all wanted it to be at the level that we want.
So that was communications manager of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, PJ Moses, speaking there. Well, Thomas Partey lasted the full throttle of Arsenal's game against Rapid Vienna. They won by 2-1. Partey played wonderful, and we'll bring you highlights of that when you join us tomorrow on MS Breaks with Selwyn Saki. That's your sport. I'm Benedict Osu. Thanks for watching.
You're still watching MX24 News. My name is Emma Fatishi, bringing you showbiz. VGMA's Artist of the Year, Kwame Eugene, has stated that the success he has achieved so far is as a result of his consistent hard work. He told MX24 Entertainment that he's in no competition with anyone and is focused on building his career.
From where I come from and what I'm doing, I see myself to be Africa's number one too. I don't want anybody to go kill a goat over this. I don't have anybody to please. I don't owe anybody anything. I came to work like you're doing your work. So how I do my work is up to me. And thank God it's working for me. So I'm not here to please anybody. Nobody's a competition because I think this whole thing is not a competition. So if I've been able to play a number of shows, it doesn't mean I'm telling you. There's room for everybody to shine. And the fact that I'm let's say I'm a king in quotes today, that okay, he owns the plaque for now doesn't mean I'm going to rule forever. Charlie, some time ago it was Sarkodie. It's been Chatawale before, it's been Stoneboy before.
Also, you acknowledge that, yeah, yes, but it's your time now.
If they are able to come back from Eugene, me, I wish them well, because at the end of the day, it means gates are opening for them. You get it? It's the gates that plug opens for me is what's important to me. It's not the competition aspect of it. From where I come from.
Talking about his personal life, Kwame Eugene is also hoping to meet the love of his life, and he says he wants a loving and understanding girlfriend.